Hey guys, 2002 Audi A4 1.8T. Had a coolant leak coming from the back of the motor, which the first thing I thought of was the coolant flange, since I fixed it about 6 to 8 months ago. I found out after taking everything apart. First of all, in case you guys are looking for an actual DIY on the coolant flange, there's a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of really good videos on YouTube, which is how I got through this job, but I figured I'd just make my own video here. The easiest thing I did to try to create more space for myself, even though it was a little bit tedious, I removed this airbox. I took the airbox completely out, as you can see. The upper and the lower parts of the airbox, there's a few plugs here and there. Obviously, you got to disconnect the mass airflow sensor. Once you get that out of your way, guys, life is going to be much easier, because you can get in this area here where you need to be to get the actual breather tubes out of the way, which I already removed those. They get connected right around here. There's another one that gets connected here. And obviously right here is the oil feed line for the turbo that goes to the back of the coolant flange. Now, another thing I did, once I got all that out of the way, I totally removed the coil pack harness. Now, you're going to see here, there's a little ground with a 10mm bolt. Leave that bolt in there, because the last time I did it, I just couldn't find the bolt. It's easier for me to just put it in there. So, set that there. And then very easily, guys, once you do that, there's a couple zip ties from the factory. Just cut those off. You could always put regular zip ties to remove this whole harness. So what I did was I just got this. Move it out of your way. Try to give yourself some space here, but do it nice and easy so you don't crack any wires. It is an 02. And once you do that, there's a combi valve that goes in the back here. Let me grab it and I'll show you guys. Alright guys, here's the combi valve I was talking about. Gets connected. There's a little inlet right there for a very small vacuum hose, which is right here, as you can see, right where I'm pointing. This is going to have 3 5mm Allen bolts on the back of it. Be very careful when you remove this, because there's a gasket on the back of this. You don't want to drop or lose that gasket. A lot of times you pull it off, you may think that the gasket's still connected. You go to put it back on, it's gone. So be very careful to save that gasket. Once you remove the combi valve, guys, you got a lot more space in here. As you can see, there's the temperature sensor and the coolant flange itself. Now, as I got back here, I was looking around wondering where the coolant was coming from. As you can see, on the bottom of the coolant flange, let me get my light in here, you're going to see, I'm trying to get it focused for you guys, right at the bottom of the coolant flange, there's a port right there for the actual heater core hose. It's got a quick disconnect plastic molded piece at the end of the rubber hose. Well, when I got these parts, I got them from ECS Tuning. ECS Tuning I've had some good luck with. The actual flange, I believe it is an Audi part. It's got the Audi insignia on there. But the hose itself, which I'm going to show you guys right now, the hose is what failed, guys. Let me show you right now what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you the hose. And there it is right there. You're going to see a cut or a slice right at the metal strap that goes around it. This thing was gushing coolant. The hole underneath of the motor, or the underneath of the hood, there was just steam coming from everywhere, just from that right there. So that was really, really creating some havoc. Also, that part right here, I cannot find anything on this part that has an Audi logo on it. So I'm thinking it's definitely got to be aftermarket, even though the coolant flange has an Audi insignia on it. Now, I got to tell you, I've done this, like I said, it looks pretty new. I've done it about 6 to 8 months ago, and it is a pain in the ass to do, guys. So I'm hoping to get the replacement hose from Audi, because I'm not going to go aftermarket on something like this. Last thing you want to lose all that coolant. You're going to overheat the motor. You may even harm the turbo by the turbo overheating. So once I did all that, I mean, I'm just hoping I got lucky, guys, and it's just a hose. Another thing I did, just so you guys know, when you're going to do this job, the easiest thing to do to get the coolant out of the system or to drain the coolant is to take this bottle. There's a Phillips screw that goes in here. Just disconnect this bottle. You're going to turn it upside down, and there's going to be a plug that goes there. Get this thing completely out of your way. And let me grab my light. Alright guys, so right next to the actual oil filter cooling mount, or whatever you want to call that, there is a clamp right on that hose there. All I did was disconnect that clamp. I loosened it, spring-loaded clamp, pulled it back, got the hose out of there, and I drained all the coolant as much as I could out of there. If you notice, if the cap is on the reservoir itself, and you're noticing that there's no coolant coming out of the system, just open up that blue cap and you're going to notice it pour right out. I will definitely have a part 2 to this video, guys. And I will let you guys know if it was in fact just the hose. Obviously the hose is torn. Somehow, some way it failed. And I will definitely have a part 2 to this. So stay tuned.